Hello, it's Dan here again with another video showing you how to make drum samples with the Korg Monologue. I've already posted a video about how to make kick sounds and how to make snare sounds. So let's move on to hi-hats. Probably the easiest sound to make on the Korg Monologue. So let's get into it. First of all, let's initialize the patch, edit mode, and then go make sure it's on program edit, second to last blinking light. Twist that knob until it says press right, and then press right, and then you should have a initialized patch. All right, that's a little loud. I'm just going to turn that down. Okay, so hi-hats, pretty much very similar to a snare, except without that lower pitched note. So we're just going to be using VCO2. So turn down VCO1, VCO2 at full, and we're going to be using noise. So hi-hat. It's pretty much a higher version of the snare. So make sure you're on the pluck mode one shot envelope shape, and then we're just going to adjust the decay. And that's pretty much it. That's your hi-hat for you. So the shorter the decay, that's a closed hi-hat. Longer the decay, that's a open hi-hat. But you can change the timbre of the sound by messing around with the cutoff. So if I have no resonance at all and just adjust the cutoff point of the filter, of course, the brighter you go is more sort of less higher the cutoff. The higher the cutoff, the brighter you go. I'll say it properly. And the lower the cutoff, the darker it is. But also, you can introduce resonance. Resonance, because it has that spike in the frequency where the resonance is, it gives it a kind of a thinner, almost more metallic hi-hat sound. And if I crank the resonance, it's almost a note, but you don't want that note, otherwise you're going to just end up having a sine tone, so just not so high. And then if you shorten the decay, that's a nice hi-hat right there. Okay, you can actually play around with having the resonance of the hi-hat, well, the cutoff of the filter sort of stoop. I can't, for some reason, talk today. So I'm going to do that with the LFO. So set the LFO to one shot, and then the ramp down of the sawtooth, and then make sure it's set to cutoff. I'm just going to make the decay a bit longer so you can actually hear it. And when you shorten the decay, just have a slower rate. And if you make it into a closed hi-hat, it just adds a little bit of movement to the sound. And if you set the key tracking to the cutoff, so you do that by in the edit function, edit mode, click that, make sure it's on program edit, and it's this fourth light here. Click that twice until it says cutoff key track, and then turn it to 100%. And so now it's going to be tracked to the keyboard. So you can have a lower hi-hat or a higher hi-hat. I cannot really hear that. Just make sure that is actually, yep. Yeah, it's definitely tracked. So I'm just going to turn off this, the LFO, just so you can hear the key tracking a little bit better. Turn down the resonance a bit. Actually, maybe turn up the cutoff. And shorten the decay. So there you have it, pretty simple. That's your hi-hat. You can introduce some distortion if you want, just to make it sound a little bit different. Shorten the decay. So yeah, that's a hi-hat. Similar to the snare, you may want to put a high-pass filter on it because there is probably a lot of low-end or mid-range frequencies that you do not want. So let's move on to my DAW. So I'm in my DAW. This is Pro Tools. You can use any DAW, like I said before, anything that has a EQ, parametric EQ, or any EQ that enables a high pass filter. So this is the hi-hat that I designed just before, and you can see, look at all of that low frequency content, and hi-hat should only really be high frequencies. So let's throw on a high pass filter that's rolling off all of that low frequency, and let's bring it up. Yeah, that high, you do not need any of that low mid frequencies at all. So there is your hi-hat. You can add some compression and maybe even some saturator if you want, similar to what I did for the snare, but that already is a pretty good hi-hat. So there you have it. That is a hi-hat designed on the Korg Monologue, probably the easiest drum sample to design. So the next video, I'm going to show you how to do a clap. So stay tuned for that, and goodbye.